So we are starting off with Tremors tonight, and I suspect many people have seen this movie. Pretty much in this very small, isolated town in Nevada, the locals run amok of these giant worms that just pop up from the underground, attack people, eat people, and then go back underground, and they have to figure out a way to survive the onslaught of, I think there are four worms, and yeah, it's a fun time. It's a sort of a horror light comedy mix, and it's a movie I've always personally enjoyed. I mean, I've seen this so many times, back when I was a kid watching this movie. It's not particularly thrilling. I mean, there's a little suspense occasionally, but it's much more, like I said, a horror humor type land. It has a pretty decent cast. Probably most standout would be, I would have to imagine, Margot Gross playing a sort of a gun nut type guy. Him and his wife, who's played by Reba McEntire, really bring a lot of fun to this movie. But it's a very basic story, in sort of like a monster creature feature type thing, but it blends together really well, and I personally think it's not maybe amazing, I think it's a really good movie. So what do you think about this one, Tracker?
Well, I'm going to consider this a first-time watch for me, which is kind of a weird thing to say considering how popular it is. I have kind of seen it in the past, but I can't say for certain if I've ever watched the whole thing. I can't recall if I caught it on TV when I was younger. I certainly have seen certain scenes and bits and pieces, but I'm going to consider this my first time watch. And I found it quite a entertaining movie. Like I said, not quite getting to the point where you'd say it's really great, or I wouldn't say it's going to make my regular playlist or anything like that, but I'll certainly give it another watch at some point again. It does have some decent humor in it without going too over the top with any kind of comedy. I thought the creatures were pretty interesting, and, there was a little more gooiness going on in the movie than I anticipated going into it. So all in all, I had a pretty good time with this one. Not great, but pretty good.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about this one, at least in my opinion, is like the extremely small town that this takes place in. I think the population is 14 people. I think throughout the movie there might be 16-ish. But we're talking like a very small town that's completely disconnected from, I think what the nearest town is, 38 miles away. So it brings sort of like a very isolated sense to this movie. And that just always, I don't know why, but it always stuck with me every time I watch this. Just a town of just like 15 people trying to survive pretty much on their own.
I mean, I kind of like the location, but at the same time, I kind of get a little bored by the location as well. It's just
That's Nevada for you.
Those types of locations just I mean, no matter where you go in the movie, it all kind of looks the same. So technically, you kind of need that location to make this movie work. But yeah, I can't recall any movies off the top of my head where they take place in Nevada or desert type locations that I really, really love. Maybe there is one, but I'm just not thinking of it. I do usually like Kevin Bacon in most of his movies. I don't go out and seek to watch anything that Kevin Bacon is in, but usually if he's in it, I usually enjoy whatever he does in the movie. And, he's pretty entertaining in this one.
Yeah, it's somewhat amusing because, like I said, I've seen this one so many times, and back when I was a kid, it's not like I knew who actors were. So the fact that there's Kevin Bacon in this movie, it didn't mean anything to me. It's just another guy. This is probably one of like the maybe 3 Kevin Bacon movies I know I've seen. And honestly, this is the only movie I watch and think, oh hey, that's Kevin Bacon. So I guess the movie is good for that much.
Well, if you watch Wild Things, you get to see Kevin's Bacon.
that sounds like a movie I'm going to put on my not watch list. But
Well, hey, there is one very good scene in the movie where you get to see some titties.
Unfortunately, there's no nudity in Tremors, though. If that's what you're looking for, this is strictly PG-13 approved stuff.
Yeah. I may have bumped it up an extra rating if that chick did end up having world-class breasts and an ass that won't quit.
And legs that go all the way up.
Yeah.
That's one of the lines that always cracks me up every time I see that scene. And just this disappointment once they actually get it.
Yeah. But yeah, there's some funny moments in the movie too, like I really like the pole vault fail. It's like, oh shit. I mean, it's a little too convenient that they had all those rocks just in the places they needed to be to do all that pole vaulting, but yeah, you know, it's a movie. You just gotta sometimes do those things to make it work.
I also liked how both Michael Gross's character can just make homemade bombs just with stuff lying around. So it's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it's like some household chemicals, you know, put some oven cleaner, some dishwashing liquid, and
yeah, I mean, I really liked Kevin Bacon in this movie too, but I think Michael Gross's character really brings. If without him, I feel like this movie might have been a bit more forgettable.
Yeah, I kind of thought he and his wife were done for it at that scene where he's in his basement or whatever that is, and yeah, it's kind of amusing to see them actually kill one, get away.
Yeah, and like then the camera pans and we see they have a whole wall of all these giant guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you've seen any of the sequels too, but there's a few characters from this movie who pop up in the second and third movies too, and both of those, at least the second movie is also pretty decent. So if you ever have a chance, you might have to check that one out.
I don't know if there's like a Guinness World Records entry for this type of thing, but I feel like this movie may have set the record number of times the word plan was used. Yeah, there's multiple times. It's like, you gotta have a plan. You don't have a plan. This guy has a plan. What's the plan? You know, it's just constant plan. I don't think I could go 5 minutes without seeing someone say plan. Not that it really annoyed me, but it's just something I picked up on. They kept saying plan.
Well, I guess if you're in a panicked situation, you just revert back to the same 6 words again. I've never been chased by a graboid before, so I might not know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think Tremors is a perfect movie, but I do find it a consistently enjoyable, easy watch. It's not too challenging, just a sit back and have fun type movie. And I always have fun with it, and I have since I was a kid, so I'm going to give this one probably a pretty high rating for most people, but I'm going to be giving this an 8.5, and I'm rounding it down to an 8 out of 10. And like I said, I enjoy it, and it's definitely a monster movie that's worth watching, and probably one of the top 20 horror movies of the 1990s, which is a somewhat weak decade.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 7. It's a good 7. I mean, for me, a 7 is any movie that's decent. And I definitely find this to be a decent movie. I compare my ratings to other movies where I've given 7s and 8, and it kind of falls more in line with the ones that I've given a 7 to. So, it gets a 7 from me. I think it's a solid movie. It's got some humor. It's got some decent scenes with the creatures. Like I said, it's a little gooier than I actually anticipated it being going into it. Yeah, I was never bored during the movie. I was always entertained or at least interested in what was happening. And like I said, I'll definitely come back and watch this one again at some point. Maybe not for many years, but yeah, it's a solid movie.